Okay, let's try to see how Listbox works and to get this result here that I published on my post. You see here I got two lists, and if I go with the mouse wheel on the first one, they are just synchronized. If the second one is not synchronized, if you go on the slides here, they are not synchronized. And in this version here, but let me see another version that I realized, and is this one. And in this one is we got, if you go on the slides here, you just move one single. If you with the mouse wheel, you the both are synchronized. If you press here, also with the mouse wheel will not be synchronized. If you press again, they will be synchronized again. If one is in a different position, you see these two, the bars here indicates that they are in a different position. If this reaches the end and I keep going down, the other one that is not at the end will go down, and this will stop moving. If they reach both the end and then I go up, they are still again synchronized. So how we do this, let's just close this, create a new version of this. Let's say this is my version of listbox number 8. So let me save it, listbox 8 .py. So first of all, we got, of course, to import Tkinter SDK. I prefer to import Tkinter SDK and not from Tkinter everything, to so that I put my tk dot before my classes or variables from Tkinter, so that um, it is more clear, and these variables may not go in conflict with other variables from other modules that I may want to import. Okay, from now let's create a simple window, and so we create distance of a Tkinter object, Tkinter class tk with okay, this tk here. Let me close some windows here that no. And so I got my Sublime text here. Here is the code, and in this other window here I got the output of this code, because I'm using Sublime wrapper. In case you are asking, Sublime wrapper, here it is. You can use it to run when you press a combination button, Ctrl B, or in my case Ctrl Shift and B. You can see in the other here my wrapper output. It is the console, the interpreter console, and this is the window that comes from this output. Now to create a window, you should end it, because you see that here if I press, you see these three symbols here. It means that the program stopped working, even if the window is up here. To maintain the window active, you get to write at the end main loop, so that it starts a loop on this window that keeps the window continue working. If you want to make something interact with a button, make something with this graphic interface, because Tkinter is this module that can create a window and a graphic interface for the user, like button and text and the listbox, etc. And today we are going to take a look at, in particular, to listbox, even if we have to use also labels and buttons. Okay, now that we made the main loop, if we run here, you don't see here the three symbols, because the kernel, the Python kernel is working now, so it's busy doing this, maintaining these windows up. Does nothing except quitting it, and now as I quit, it stopped running. The kernel. So now we are going to create our object here. We can give it the window a title like this, root title and parentheses, and now we are going to talk about list boxes in sync. This was something that was asked me from someone who watched a video about of last year about list boxes, and so I did this code. So now that I got the title, let's see if it works. It doesn't work because there is a typo here. Let me save it again and run. And here is the window. You see, I have to spread it, and you see list boxes in sync, the title here. But as I don't want it to spread every time, and so I got this other function here, this geometry, and then into the apostrophes you do 400 for 300, for example. Let's run it now. Have to save it first because my Sublime wrapper. Okay, this is, you see, I don't have to resize it because it's just write 400 plus 300. In case you're asking, you can also do plus 300 plus 200 to make it appear a little, yeah, here. You see, if I go, let me see, 700 here, you see that it starts from more on the right. Okay, so let's go 400. It's at the center in my computer. Okay, now that we have made just a window here, we could also put this. We could also put this into the definition or something like that. We want to leave it here. So now what we are going to do is to create our list box. Okay, as we are going to create two different list box, we don't want to write two times the same things for each list box. So we are going to create a function that will create one abstract list box, and I will call it twice so that we have to write half of the code. So we call this function, we can call it def listbox, okay, with nothing as argument. And here we're going to create our listbox. And okay, let's create the listbox first. Let's call it lb1, and we are going to, this is a tk widget, so we have to start to call the class with tk dot, because it comes from the model that we imported here. Import Tkinter as tk, so this tk means Tkinter. Tkinter is the module where we have the class that builds our widget. So listbox, this is the name of the class that makes me build my my listbox. And so the first thing that I have to do is to give, to say to if this listbox belongs to the window or to a frame in the window, because we can have just a window that, let's say that the window is root, so we can say here root, a comma, and then other stuff, but we can also do just root and then lb1.pack to make it visible, because if we don't do pack, the listbox is created in the memory of the computer and the interpreter knows that this exists, but it is not visible for us, for the user on the window. Now I don't want to use root because I want to use the frames to have a better layout. So what is a frame is just a part of the window. Let's say imagine it as a square, as a rectangle, where I put some widgets that I want to take separate from other widgets so that the layout is more easy to manage, even because we are using one method to show the widgets on the window, that is pack, that is very simple but not so sophisticated. You cannot put them you can put them on the center, on the left, on the right, and nothing more. You don't have a grid. There is also a grid system, but I want to use this for simplicity. But to have a better look and more organized, let's say so, I use frames in which we will put the list box, and then we will have another frame where we will put a button. That's all, very simple, but we have to create it. So we have frame number 1, that is always part of TK module, and it's called, by the way, frame, and this belongs to the root. Okay, the frame is into the main window, the root. So here I want to change it instead the list box, and I want to make it part of frame 1. So I could let me use paint. Let's say that this is root. Okay, this is the root. So the most the object, the fundamental object, that is at the top, and the most outside of our widget. The other widgets are inside the root, but we could put the list box here, or we can make a frame inside the root like this, for example. Then we will make another one here, and this is frame 1. Okay, let me call it F1. Okay, frame 1. Now in this frame I want to put another object. There is this. Okay, this is the frame. This is the frame, this one. This is the root. Okay, let me make it in green. Okay, the green one is the root. Then there is the red one, is a frame, and it's another widget that has nothing in it, does nothing but contain other widgets. And then there is the blue one here. There is the list box number 1, and the list box are something that contains many items on each row. Okay, now, so this is the LB1 into the frame, and the frame is into the root. Okay, now that we've done this, we have to, what we have to do, we have to, well, we can populate this with random data. You know, I don't have data. I give them random data. I could take some text. I could take number, random number, wherever. What do you prefer? Let me say, let's create a for loop. So for number in a range of 50, let's put, or in range 49, there are 50 numbers because they start from 0 to 49. So we have to count it 0, 2. This is another number. So 49 number plus 0 is 50 numbers. And let's create a random number equal. Let's transform it into a string. Rand int, that is a random integer starting from 1 to well, 100. Okay, so this random number this will be a random number here from 1 to 10, created with this function here, runInt, and then transform it into a string. Why do we have to transform it into a string? Because I want to create a string with this casual number that I want to put into the list box. Now for this runInt, it's not we have to import a module to get this function here. So from the module, how can it be called if not random? Import runInt. So this is this function that takes two numbers, the first and the last, and the computer will choose a random number among these two numbers. And okay, now how do we insert this number into the list? We just do lb1.insert from 0, that is the start, to what we want to insert. After we say at the beginning insert this number, and or we can also, instead of the beginning, we can use another variable of tk end, and then you'll see how it works. Let's put this end in number. Okay, that is not a number but a string with a number inside. And okay, now let's see if it works. So at the end of this function we want to return lb1. So we want to return this object that is made that is this list box. So what we have to do now, we create another lb1, or we can call it, well, we don't have to put a number here, let's just call it lb, so that we mean it's the same, but we don't want to confuse this with this other one, even if this is a local variable. So we could have called it whatever we want, because this is just, it's valid inside of this function, and this lb function will not go outside in the global variables. Instead, this one is a global variables lb1 that will be just like this lb that will that is the output of this function. Okay, so we from this this function here, we will have in return a list box object. Okay, so this lb def is equal to def listbox, and we don't pass nothing to it. Okay, now what will happen, that this will create a list box, and then we pack it and insert all these numbers, then we'll return it, and when we call this, we will in practice run this code here that will create a list box. Let's see if it works. Okay, we have to do another thing here, frame1 dot pack, if we want to see it. There it is. We got our list, and you see it's with the mouse wheel, you can scroll it, you can drag, taking the click down, and you can run it. So now that we created one of these, we can create two of these without having to rewrite all of it. You just can copy, right, call it lb2, save it, run it. There we have two lists Okay, there is draggable, but without the scroll bar. You see how we can put the scroll bar here, and then we want to also to make them to be synchronized. Okay, that is how you can create listbox more than one. You can create a third one and so on. And let's see what happens if I do side equal left. Okay, now we have them one on next to the other, and they can do what they want to do. And another thing that we can do is also to fill equal tk.y, and let's see. And then we have to do another thing, expand equal 1, let's make it also here. So we have now expanded. You see that if I cut that, we won't make it expanded. So we have to add the same for this. Sorry. Let's put both here. Here it is. So that's all for now. In the next video, we will talk about how to synchronize these two list boxes.